Welcome to the Alcohol Free Life podcast, brought to you by thesoberclub.com. I'm Genuinely Grace. This is for you if you've quit the booze or you'd like to, or maybe you're just sober curious. I'll bring you tips and motivation without any judgment, and there'll be inspiration from experts, quit-lit authors, and sober heroes. Hi, welcome to the podcast. How you doing? It's Genuinely Grace. It's been another momentous week, hasn't it, with changes and God knows what across the UK. I don't know where you are in the world or how all of this is affecting you, but I don't know. I've been meeting so many people and hearing from so many people who are really struggling right now. Struggling emotionally, physically. Sometimes their whole livelihood is going down the pan. It's really tough. So that's not a very positive opening line this week, is it? But I think it's probably how quite a lot of people are feeling. There's this sort of general air of uncertainty. It's almost like the ground is sort of shifting beneath us all the time. It doesn't really matter where, what. It does matter very much, but what I mean is that all of this that's going on is affecting us all in different ways. And whether you're in a tier 3 in the UK lockdown area or allegedly still green, it's like walking on shifting sand. You never quite know what's going on. And that's terrible for people's mental health and well-being, really terrible. My heart absolutely goes out to you if you are suffering right now and you've got anxiety, because I think the most stable person at the moment is suffering from anxiety. So, what can I say other than reach out for help, really seriously reach out for help. This is definitely not the time to hold yourself up. I'll say that phrase again. The opposite of addiction is connection. The opposite of anxiety and mental health issues is connection, if you ask me. So find a way of reaching out. It's so interesting that whenever there's stuff going on in our lives, we tend to go inside, don't we? We make everything insular again, and at exactly the time we should be asking for help. What we tend to do is retreat within. And then, of course, we only have our own answers, don't we? We don't get a different perspective. So whatever way you can reach out, then please do reach out. We have a new little project that's popped up this week in the Sober Club. I don't know if anyone else has felt the effects of Mercury retrograde. I don't normally bang on about stuff to do with astrology and the moon, but I have so noticed stuff going on this week. There's that lovely social post on that lovely meme talking about don't let your high vibing energy get freaked by this badass vibes. But it really has been like that. Oh my God, just everything that's gone wrong, everything that's possible, techie wise, it's just been chaotic, certainly for me. Several days where the internet was down for long periods of time, phones dying, social media posts disappearing, emails not sending, just going into the ether, just on and on. In the midst of all of that, at the beginning of the week, I was contacted by a few Sober Club members who couldn't afford to carry on their membership because they've lost their income or because things are just really precarious with the whole COVID situation. And basically, to cut a very long story short, since the first lockdown came in, we've been supporting some people who wanted to continue their membership but couldn't because of their income dropping. And then there's this kind of new influx of people, and so I'm thinking to myself, how am I gonna handle this? And it was just so bizarre, because as I was sort of trying to work out what felt right, to give back and to, what proportion of how many bursaries, as it were, could I fund and how could I do this? And just as I was thinking through all of this, not one, but two messages popped into my inbox, pretty much one after another, from members effectively saying, both of them saying, that they would like to fund somebody else. One was writing to me and saying she knew of a member who had lost her job and she wanted to fund that member, and would I allow that to happen? And the other one just wrote and said, I've just been thinking, I'm okay at the moment and I feel really blessed to have, the work that I have, and I know that other people are not so fortunate, and so I'd like to contribute for someone else to have some coaching or a membership. And I just thought, wow, that's just bizarre that would happen straight away. And what was really interesting was for me to have to notice my own thoughts, because immediately my first thought was, oh no, I'll write back to both of them and say, well, thank you so much, but it's not necessary. And then I suddenly realised, actually, this is a big lesson for me in learning to receive. And sometimes we find that really difficult. It's actually, it's quite a difficult thing to actually let go and be willing to receive. And of course, I'm always banging on about acts of kindness and how acts of kindness are good for you. They're good for you, the giver, as well as for the person receiving the act of kindness. And here was I about to refuse somebody offering an act of kindness to me, which I would then pass on, if you see what I mean. Anyways, to cut long story short, I put a message on my Sober Club group and just asked how people felt about it. And the response was just absolutely amazing. People just really wanted to give back, to support other people who want to ditch the booze and they want to continue to level up their thinking around optimum health and well-being, and they just want to support. So anyways, it's sorted, even with all the tech problems. And what we've decided to do is, obviously, I'm still giving back, so we're going to match any donation that comes in. So anything that anyone donates gets doubled, really. And so I thought I'd share this with you guys, because there'll be people who listen to the podcast who they don't want to join the Sober Club. It's not, they don't need that in their life, or they don't want that in their life right now. But maybe you would love to contribute because you're enjoying the podcast, and to know that the donation you give will go, all of it, absolutely all of it, will go towards funding, towards giving a bursary to someone who really needs it, or if it's deemed more appropriate, one-to-one coaching, and that your money will be doubled. So there's my little pitch. I know some people have those kind of Patreon things on their podcasts, but I just thought, keep it simple, make it really easy. We've just got a PayPal donation kind of page, and you can make a one-off donation or you can make a monthly donation. And of course, you don't have to make any donation, but here's me saying thank you. I'm willing to receive and then pass it on if you want to give. So that's my little pitch. You just need to go to www.thesoberclub.com/give back. And of course, if you go to the Sober Club, you'll see the link for it there as well. So thank you in advance to anyone who wants to do that. As one Sober Club member said, money is it's just energy, isn't it? It comes around. And I think, wow, if more of us had that attitude, it really would flow around, wouldn't it, when people need it? So obviously it goes without saying, if you really need support and want to focus on health and well-being, and this is something you need, then of course get in touch as well. One of the most amazing things, as I've said so many times, is I get to, doing this work, I get to hear from people whose lives have been transformed, just absolutely transformed. It's, it just never ceases to amaze me, the magic that gets created when people ditch the booze. I just see it time after time. People start just blossoming, literally blossoming, and they have new interests and new desires, and there's more time in their life, and they kind of deal with all the stuff that they need to deal with, and then they branch out and they start new careers, and oh my goodness, it goes on and on. Several Sober Club members are joining me I've trained as a NLP practitioner, so I offer NLP within my coaching, and just me talking about that now has encouraged a few Sober Club members who also want to train. So that's amazing. I was talking about the fact that I'd done some coaching training, and there's people interested in that, but then there's also loads of other things. People are becoming writers and writing books and doing all kinds of stuff. Someone in the Sober Club is buying a camper van and traveling, and just so many different things. It's really magical. Anyways, what I'm getting to is that one thing that often happens when people ditch the booze and they start to really get in touch with who they are and what they want is that people become curious about how their own personality type, their own, if you like, what's been, what fate has in store for them. And without getting too woo-woo about all of this, I do think that a lot of this comes down to energy and how everything is, I don't know, how everything adds up. Anyway, that's a really naff way of introducing you to my guest, who is Jo Soley. And Jo Soley is just such a fascinating, lovely woman. I've known her for a lot of years. She does a lot of business coaching. She works with a lot of business owners. But she has recently started doing this fantastic work around numerology. She calls it bizology because she often works with people on their business. But the stuff she talks about absolutely applies to us all. And it's so fascinating when you have a session with Jo, because, this is not sort of fortune teller stuff. This is not her kind of gazing into a crystal ball and wildly guessing what might be going on for you. This is based on science, absolutely. Numerology is really fascinating. Anyways, I just thought it would be fun to introduce this concept to you. If it's something you've never come across before, just be open, be curious, and it's really fascinating just to hear what Jo has got to say. And she gives us a fabulous little guideline, some guidelines as to how we can focus on what we should be doing when, because one of the things you'll hear Jo say is that there are good years and bad years. I mean, 2020 notwithstanding, obviously. We don't all have a fantastic time all the time. It's the way it goes, isn't it? There is an ebb and a flow. There is a dark and a light, and we really need that kind of polarity. But it sure does help if you can plan ahead for your fallow years, as it were. So I hope you find this as fascinating as I did. My guest is Jo Soley, business coach and founder of Bizology. Jo, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Janie.
I love talking to you because you have such a fascinating take on how numbers affect us, personal numbers, the use of numerology. And I know that you apply this in many different ways. I really wanted to invite you onto the show because you did a fabulous session for us within the Sober Club and just introduced this whole concept. And wow, it's completely kicked off. Some of the members are just so fascinated by how our birth dates effectively can have so much relevance to how we live our lives. But not only that, a real direct link to our health and well-being as well. So just tell us a little bit about your background and what led you to this work.
Thank you. So, my business is Bizology, and I use the power of numerology to help you elevate your business success. But as you said, it's plays out not just in your business, in your lives, in your career, because we are our business. And a word you used was the word fascinating. So 3.5 years ago, I went to an event and I heard a keynote speaker speak about numerology, and his opening gambit was, forget International Women's Day, it's International Women's Millennium. And everything he said that night, I was like a fish with my mouth open, I just couldn't believe it. Everything he was saying, it just made sense of my 40 odd years on the planet in one night. So then I kind of went down we don't want to go down the rabbit hole in numerology. But then I started to learn. I read books. I went to the London College of Psychic Studies. I did a mentorship, a studentship on everything I could with regards to numerology. And it started to really help me understand myself, why I was here, some maybe problems that I had encountered, my challenges, any issues, my behaviors, everything. It all started to make sense. My the fact I'm 47, never married, no kids, everything made sense. Okay, so what I'm really, really, really passionate about is taking your birthday, taking the energies of your numeric energies, your birthday, and showing people how it plays out, showing people that we have to be ourselves because everyone else is taken. And in our numbers, we can see why we're here. Life isn't meant to be easy. We make it more difficult. We can see what we're here to do, our ultimate goal. We can see that some years are easier than others to deal with. Some are growth years, some are put your head down, get on with it years, and some years we have to let go. And it's just, a lot of people struggle in their lives, in their businesses. They try and emulate other people. They look at other people. Why isn't my life working out like that? Because it's not meant to. You're meant to be doing your thing, and you can see what you're here to do in your numbers. So does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's fascinating. So for anyone who's thinking, I need to know what number I am, how do we begin to work that out? Can you just share a kind of a little bit of an overview?
Yeah, so our main number that we spoke about in the Sober Club, the main number that we talk about in numerology is your life path number. Lots of numerologists call it different things. It's also called your destiny number because that's what you're here for. It's your destiny. I call it life path because it doesn't sound so woo in business. But the way we work it out is to take your full date of birth, because you cannot change your date of birth. You can change your name, and when you change your name, you change your life, because a letter is a number, and a number has an energy, and nothing happens without numbers being involved in it. Okay, there's a frequency, there's a vibration. So looking at your life path number, so my date of birth is 4th of the 4th, 1973. So we take the 4, we add the 4, we add the 1973 as a whole number, and that gives us another number, which is 1981. So then we add the 1 and the 9 and the 8, the 1, the 1981. That gives us 19. We add the 19, gives us 10, and then we get to the 1. So my life path is a 1. I've got a free guide on my website if you want to download it and do it, but that is how we do it. We take our date of birth, we add the whole numbers up. It gives us a 4-digit number. We add that up, and then that gives us, we reduce it down until we get to 1 to 9, 11, or 22. So my numbers are 1, which is the leader. It's all about innovation. It's all about being different. It's all about being unique. But I wasn't doing that. I was being full of magic and magnetism, and helping everybody else run their business, being the power behind the throne, being a number 2. And you're not the number next to you. So since I realized what was, not going wrong so much, but what I wasn't aligning to my 1, I've spent the last 3.5 years really aligning to this 1 energy, doing something different in business, really kind of being happy that I'm independent rather than single, really aligning to the 1, which is original, which is authentic, which is different, which is high quick start. It's Lady Gaga, it's Stormzy, you know, they are their brand. So since I've been my brand, then life is working out. So this is how I help my clients, and this is how I help other people. So we know, Jenny, you're a 5, which is all about freedom and adventure and expansion. And that's what you're here to do.
It is really fascinating, isn't it? Because so often when people, decide that it's time for them to get healthy, or perhaps when they ditch the booze, it's only then that they start to think, oh, I wonder whether there's something different for me. I wonder whether I'm actually following my, as you say, destiny, life path. And we can start to kind of think, oh, what shall I do? And I've met so many people who actually they feel a little bit stuck because they really genuinely don't know what they're meant to do. And I suppose one of the great things, in that case is to, well, start to look at what you enjoy, of course, and what makes time fly by, and when you feel in your flow. But also by, I suppose, looking at this kind of thing, we can see, well, let's have a look what literally the charts have in store for us.
Definitely, because we're here to do a job that nobody else can do. If we don't do it, it doesn't get done. It get put to the next person. It just doesn't get done. So that's one number we spoke about. But there's lots of numbers that we work with, and more often than not, that will be a repeating number. So for me, my repeating number is 1. Joanna vibrates at a 1. The J, the 10th letter of the alphabet, which is 1. I am a 1, etc., etc. So then we can start to see story, we can start to see patterning, we can start to see our purpose and potential, which is what you've just mentioned about what people love. So, there's no mistakes. If you've got a number, you've got it for a reason. But one thing I say quite a lot is we are the negative of our numbers. So when we're aware of the negative of our numbers, we can pull them up like weeds in a garden, and then the flowers grow. So the negative of 1 is being maybe a bit selfish, or, not all just focused on the results, very impatient, want things yesterday. And, that's not real life. So when you can appreciate your numbers and the negatives and stop doing those, then the positives flow.
Yeah, and are there some characteristics that these numbers share that may be relevant when it comes to our health and well-being?
Yeah, so 1, like my life path number 1, we want things really, really quickly. So we're not that good normally with nutrition because, cooking nice meals or soups or standing and doing a smoothie, that's not very 1 because it takes time, and 1's too impatient. So it's really good to have a look at that energy. 5, it's the sexiest number. It is attracted to alcohol and foods and gambling. It's risky. It's good with risk. 5, it copes with risk, but it can be a little bit, into drugs and rock and roll and things like that. So each number has an energetic quality when it comes to everything in our life. It's interesting because I'm born on the 4th of the 4th, and 4 is about structure, control, routine, and system. So I'm very organized. However, I don't have 4 energy in my name. So I haven't got any D or M or V, and that is a 4 letter. So Joanna Elizabeth Soley has no D, M or V. So I know I can't get away with the extra night with no sleep, the extra cream cake, not checking my passport 60 times when I go away, not doing my accounts and checking all the details, because that's no 4 energy. So likewise with the health and well-being, 4 is the body, 4 is the earth, 4 is structure. So if you're missing D, M or V in your name, then you have to pay attention. So I have a very not strict, but very balanced diet now, but I have to make sure I put that in. And I was always getting poorly, but I haven't been poorly really since, I'm dealing with the menopause, but who isn't at my age? But I haven't been poorly since I've known what I'm missing in my name. It's so powerful.
It really is. So, I mean, obviously, what you're saying then is that by recognizing these traits, behaviors, whatever you might want to call them, that they are the way that we're going to naturally flow. But of course, we can affect them. We don't have to just go, oh, right, that's it. Then I'm disorganized, or I'm negative, or I've got an addictive personality. We can, of course, as you say, really notice and put the balance back. And it may just mean that we have to work a little harder in some areas than someone with a different life path number.
Yes, no, definitely, because just because you are that life path number, it doesn't mean it's easy. That's what we're here to work with. So one is all about independence. But until I knew that, everything, all my relations, clients, family, the codependency will play out for one until you realize that and stop doing it and align to the independence. But because I know that, and I can tell other people, their number, so for a 5, it will be throwing the baby out with the bathwater, next, getting bored, freedom, next. 5 can't fake it till they make it. But things take time to grow, and the rolling stone gathers no moss. And in life, moss is the lessons. So it is so it's very, very powerful. It's like spiritual empowerment into your life and business, but it's as old as the hills, Astrology looks to the stars, numerology looks to numbers.
It's really fascinating. And I know from working with you and from having a consultation that you've also explained that in addition to us each having a life path number, it's also relevant what year we are in personally. Just explain what that means.
Yes, so we work in 9-year cycles, and there's better years and easier years to do things. So I'm currently in a personal year 3, even though, the situation at the moment and the sky has fallen in. We're in the middle of a global pandemic, which again we can see in the numbers. But I'm in a personal year 3. So 3 is, if you look at the shape of the 3, it's 2 horseshoes on top of each other. It's lucky, okay? So I'm in here, which is communicative. It's the entertainer. It's enthusiastic, creative time. I've been asked to speak a lot. I'm doing lots of masterclasses. I'm communicating a lot. It's a good year to write a book. It's a good year to put your word into the world. And energetically, the tide is in. But some years are not so easy to be in. An 11 year is very emotional. It's very turbulent. It's great for meditation and self-care and retreating, but it's a tricky number to be. It's quite a dramatic year. A 9 year is about letting go, endings, releasing, completion. And again, that's quite difficult. In the 7 year, 7 is the seeker. No one really rings you back. Opportunities will happen, but not on your time scale. And in a 4 year, nothing happens fast. You've got to put your head down and work hard. So that's frustrating if you're a go-getter, if you're an entrepreneur, if you want to go. But if we understand what the soil is fertile for in the year that we're in, we can stop pushing a cart up the hill and go with the flow. And then when we get into a year like a 3 year or a 1 year or a 5 year, which is more, about growth, then we can go for it. But if you look at nature, we're coming to the end of the autumn. She can't grow all the time because we'd have flowers everywhere, fruit everywhere, trees everywhere. We need to grow and consolidate. We need the ebb and the flow. We need the shedding and the deleting and the completing. So that's what happens in life, in our personal years and in our personal months.
Yeah, I think this was something I found really fascinating when I, had a consultation with you because, I think all of us, before we realize this, we do tend to think, well, why isn't everything flowing easily this year? It did last, or it did a couple of years ago. I mean, obviously 2020 notwithstanding, but we tend to think, why isn't this happening? I must be doing something wrong. Everything I turn to isn't working. And we hear people say this, people who maybe they're ditching the booze and they really are trying to sort of put new things in place, and it's almost as though they're banging their head against a brick wall. And I know when I had this conversation with you, I had a lot of various sort of projects and things, and you've actually helped me realize that for me, actually, this year, I suppose I'm quite fortunate in a way, as it's the year that no one's doing very much anyway. Actually, for me, is a year when there needs to be more meditation, and I can't expect for to be hitting the bright lights, and that was actually really helpful, because it sort of allowed me to breathe and take that step back and think, okay, well, so I've got some planting of seeds to do effectively, because next year I have a book coming out, so that's going to be a very different energy.
No, definitely. So you can use this year to write the book, and then in a 3-year, which you'll go into in March, it can go, it will be supported by that 3 energy, which is the writer, the author, the speaker. It's a happy and joyful year. It's a social year. It's an entertaining year. So you can go for it. You can push it out. And also last year you were in a 1 year. So whatever you seed in a 1 year starts to shoot its little heads up, really, in a 3 year.
And it's important to stress, isn't it? I'm just thinking right now that we should just make it clear that the year starts on your birthday as opposed to January the 1st.
Yes, that's right. They start on your birthday and they end on your birthday, but they take about 4 to 6 weeks to kick in. So you have like out with the old, then in with the new.
Interesting. Tell us a bit more about the energy of 2020, which of course is, of course, very different for everyone. Whatever our number is, how can we best handle, what's going on effectively?
So 2020 is a master number. Okay, 0 is source, God, divine, magic energy. We gently move that out of the way. We end up with 22, which is a master number energy. No number's better than any other number, but 11, 22, and sometimes with our name, 33, the master numbers have the ability to go beyond. They are super source, kryptonite, extra spice, right? So 1966, 1 + 9 + 6 + 6, vibrated at a 22 energy. It was a 22 year. And England won the World Cup, which, as we know, is no mean feat. 2020, the sky has fallen in, because not only is it a 22 master number, but the zeros amplify the number before it. So look at 10 Downing Street. 1 is about leadership, and the 0 amplifies the 1. So with 2020, we've got this master number, which is a big deal, and the 0 amplifies that 2, and then the 0 amplifies the other 2. And as I have said, we are the negative of our numbers. So the negative of 2 is lack and fear and panic and worry. So of course, a global pandemic is happening. However, the way that it's been kind of addressed and communicated is quite fear-based because of the 2 energy. So I wrote a blog at the beginning of the year, how do we handle 2020? Because as soon as we went into 2020, we had floods and fires, and Trump, was he going to get impeached? And then he assassinated somebody. We had Corona outbreak, a global pandemic, Black Lives Matter, and now we're on Corona part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. And I said we need to go to 4, because 2 + 2 is 4. And 4 is about structure and control, routine and systems. 4 in life keeps us on track. We've got 4 directions, 4 seasons, 4 elements, 4 fingers, etc. Okay, but we didn't even have the chance to get to that 4, because the sky literally fell in. 20 is also the judgment in the tarot, so we've got that playing out as well. So I've said to all my clients, keep your seatbelt on for the rest of 2020. Do what you can do online. Everyone's saying the word pivot and, like write a book and all those things you've wanted to do. But then when we get into 2021, the energy will start to flow a little bit more, because 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 1 is 5 energy. So does that explain a little bit?
I hope so. Yeah. Well, I hope there's a bit of positivity to hang on to in there.
Yeah, I think it explains why the sky's fallen in, because of this 22 energy. You see all these funny graphics and memes, don't you, about 2020? But numerically, we can see that it's a master number, and master numbers are big deals, but we need our ducks in a row. And a lot of people didn't have their ducks in a row because, we will become a bit too expectant and a bit too ungrateful and a bit too greedy. So it's kind of putting us back into balance in order to move forward.
Yeah, great. It's a really good explanation. So if somebody is as you were at the beginning, fascinated by hearing all of this, where can they start with, and what might be, what might they get from this then, if they work out their numbers or they have a consultation with you? What are the possibilities that can happen for people?
So people say to me, it's cut through years of therapy. That's what one client said. Somebody else said, oh my God, I just realised why I'm here. I realised why I'm the way I am. It helps me understand myself. So, as Oscar Wilde says, be yourself because everyone else is taken. It really does help you understand who you are. We know, people do business and work with you in life if they like, know and trust you. But numerology helps you like, know and trust yourself. And then from that place, you can move forward. We put a lot of onus on what other people think of us, but a lot of people don't really understand who they are. Numerology helps you understand who you are, especially in the 9-year cycle, what the soil is fertile for or not. And then you can, because our numbers show us who we were in a previous life, what we're meant to be working on so we can move forward next time. Life is a school. It has a playground, but it's not a playground. There's lessons and teachers, and we can see that in our numbers. So it's kind of like a road map. It's a treasure map, Janie, not a business plan.
Yeah. And what about for people in relationships? Because again, another thing, when people stop drinking, a lot of the clients I work with, when they've stopped numbing out all the stuff, of course, one of the, I suppose you may call it a downside, but once you've ditched the booze, you do have to look at everything. And sometimes that means people start to recognize that the things that they just thought were, little foibles about their partner or their family members really drive them mad. And when they're no longer numbing out with drink, these kind of differences in our character and the way we do things can really start to be amplified. And you have to work out a new way to be, really, once you're sober. So I suppose my question is, if we have really got a sense of our number and where we're at, and then perhaps if we know the other person's number, I guess there's going to be a way of being able to have a little more empathy and allow that energy to flow within a relationship.
That's right. No, definitely. So I say, with regards to compatibility of numbers, odds work with odds and evens work with evens. But then it goes a lot deeper. So you can, you can look at the best number for a 1 is a 9. And my best friend is a 9. A lot of my friends are 9s. Lots of my clients are 9s. And a few of my exes have been 9s. So you can start to see patterns because, it shows you the best numbers for you. But it also shows you some numbers that you may kind of rub against or can oppose a little bit. So it helps you give other people a break. One thing I say a lot is you are not the number next to you. So as a 5, Janie, you will not be the 4, which is builder, structure, control, systems. And you will not be 6, which is, I know you're a parent, but really invested in parenting and nurturing because you're more interested in freedom. So when you know you're not the number next to you, like I'm not the 2, the sensitive, the team, etc., you can then give those people a bit of a break, but you can also appreciate that you might struggle or rub against those people. So I love my mother, I do, but she is a 2 and she can drive me mad, but I know why. Because you're not the number next to you. So it's powerful looking at compatibility as well, and people can, see what other people are working with and the negatives of their numbers and the blind spots of their numbers.
Yeah. And I think this is why, it's a great example of proving why, one size doesn't fit all. It never does. You're right. I am a parent. I've got 4 kids, and yet I absolutely am, interested in freedom. And I spent, the first sort of 10 years with my first 2 kids, we were home educating, because probably for that very reason, if you'd asked me, although I didn't, necessarily know it at the time, but because I do have such a strong sense of freedom, the one size definitely didn't fit all in terms of education for those children and for my life. But I suppose what I'm saying is, this just learning more about this makes you more accepting, but it also, I think, helps you to realize that people will do things different ways, and you know what, that's okay too. and for me, it's a fantastic lesson that I try and be totally non-judgmental, and I have to really remember that when someone is ditching the booze or when they're making some kind of behavior change, they may not do it the same way that I did, or that what might even feel possible to me, and that's okay, because we really are all different. And I know this is blatantly obvious stuff I'm saying here, but so many of us do walk around sort of exasperated by other people. I know I have been in the past, exasperated by, why isn't that person doing it this way? But it's not as simple as that, is it?
No, definitely. And there's a lot of coaches or business models like, this is the 7-step system, this is the formula, do it this way. But a lot of people won't be able to do it that way, because what you find easy would maybe not how somebody else would find something easy, etc. So we have in our numbers like an approach number. So that's who we are as a little child. That's where we go to when we get emotional. But no judgment. A lot of people in life stay in that number. They don't get into their life path number. And one thing I say to people, this is your life path number. And they say to me, that's not me. So I say, well, how's life working out? And the answer is not very well. So if they can align to it, that's where like the magic happens. But yeah, everyone is so different, and you can see in the numbers, completely different energies. Birds of a feather tend to flock together as well. And it's interesting, I'll work with like 22s for a while, and then 3s for a while, and 5s for a while. So I think that's quite interesting as well, the vibration.
Definitely. So just tell people how they can work with you then, Jo. What sort of things you offer?
It's best to go to my website and take a look at josoley.com, and on there you'll be able to download my free guide, work out your life path number, and then have a look at some of my blogs, etc., and book a discovery call, because it's really interesting to know your numbers. So I give you 20 minutes of my time, and then from there I show you how you can work with me through my product services.
Fascinating. Joe Soley, thank you so much. It's great stuff. It's really, it's kind of, I think when people first start hearing about this, certainly a lot of my Sober Club members sort of said to me at first, they just had this kind of, just a tiny bit of curiosity, it'll just be fun. And then they suddenly start to think, wait a minute, actually, this is really going to make a difference to me. It's going to make a difference to how I look at my own behaviors and what I do with my life. So amazing work you're doing. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you very much for your support.
So check out Joe Soley's work, and don't forget what I was talking about before we went into the interview. If you are interested in making a donation because you enjoy the podcast or because you just want to support the work that I'm doing with the Sober Club, it would be hugely appreciated, and all of your money will go to towards funding a membership for someone who wants to continue their membership in the Sober Club but can't afford it, or to coaching, one-to-one coaching if there's funds for that and that's deemed appropriate, and it will be doubled. I will match whatever anyone donates. So, you can be assured that your money will be used, fabulously well. So if that's of interest to you, we've just literally set up the page. So it's www.soberclub.com/giveback. So thank you in advance if that's of interest to you. Got some great guests coming up in the next few weeks. I really have been so lucky that recently I've come across some amazing experts in their field. One of the issues that sometimes comes up for people when they ditch the booze is they start eating too much. I mean, that's not to put too fine a point on it. They get a sugar head on or whatever, but sometimes it's more serious than that. And there's a kind of a cross addiction can occur, and people can find themselves suddenly into a food addiction, or maybe it's been a food addiction all along. And it's not an area that I've ever really worked with before. So I was just really pleased to come across a woman who that is her thing. She really, really is so knowledgeable in this arena. She's helped so many people. So I thought it'd be great to get her onto the podcast and let's, bring this stuff out into the open and discuss it. So that's going to be coming up very soon. I'm also going to have another amazingly knowledgeable woman who's a naturopath, who's going to be talking to us all about good fats in the diet, the importance of good fats, because if you're still in the thinking that fat is evil, it most certainly is not. We really, really need good fats in our diet to support recovery, by the way. It's hugely important. So that's coming up soon. And then on an entirely different note, I'm hoping to interview Jason Vale. Super exciting. Can't wait to get Jason on the podcast. And many more people coming up. So as always, let me know if you've got any suggestions for people that you'd like me to interview. And as I've said at the beginning of the show as well, if you're suffering right now, and goodness knows there's a lot of angst right now, a lot going on, then absolutely reach out for help. And if you need help with ditching the booze, with getting your head around taking those first steps, then do reach out. Do drop me a DM or an email. Just go where you need to find the help that you need. Seriously, don't hole up and keep it to yourself. Don't forget Alcohol Change UK. I've got some great advice. They can signpost you if you've got addiction stuff going on. They're a fantastic organisation, and of course there is lots of help available. Don't hole up and think, oh, the whole world is only dealing with COVID right now. I know that's how it seems, but if you need help, then please reach out for that help and support that you need. We're going to be opening up the Sober Club for a kind of a day or a couple of days towards the end of next week, probably, for anyone who's been doing Sober October and is now thinking, ooh, actually, I do want to carry on. So I'll let you know about that. We'll be open for a couple of days. So if you're interested, make sure you register your interest. If you go to thesoberclub.com, you can sign up for our free PDF, Self-Care and Sobriety, or there's a kind of a food mood tracker as well. And if you can't find where to go, just drop me your email, DM me your email, and I'll make sure you get popped on the list. Have yourself a great week and stay safe, and give yourself a massive hug if you are doing this real hard thing right now. Thank you for listening to the Alcohol Free Life podcast, brought to you by the Sober Club. Please rate and review. And if you want support, accountability and inspiration, and you want to live your best life without the booze, check out thesoberclub.com.